Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to talk about how you can make a diet sustainable. Yesterday I talked about how fat loss works, and the answer was a caloric deficit is the only thing that matters. And today I'm going to talk about how you can make a diet easier, or how you can make a caloric deficit easier, because most people already understand that they need to be eating in a caloric deficit, which is eating less calories than you burn every day. But the most important reason, or the most common reason why people can't stick to a diet, even though they know the solution, is that they just don't know how to make a diet sustainable and easy. So in this video, I'm going to show you a lot of tactics, the overall strategy of dieting, and how you can make it easier for yourself so that you can actually stick to the caloric deficit, so that you don't give up after 3 days. So I hope you will learn a lot from this video. I'm gonna get right into it. First of all, you should be eating a smart amount of calories. If you're crash dieting, which would be, let's say, eating only half the calories you burn every day, you're just not giving yourself enough food. Almost nobody will be able to sustain that amount of that big of a caloric deficit. So it's just not a good idea for people that have normal goals. Unless you're in like a bodybuilding competition, you don't need to be eating super little calories. So my recommendation would be around 20% of your total daily energy expenditure. So if you're burning 2,500 calories a day, you should be eating 2,000. So that's 80% of the calories you burn. That's going to be sustainable for a lot of people. Next up is going to be fiber. Fiber can actually make you very full. It's extremely satiating. There's almost no calories. There's just not many calories at all in it. Maybe if you eat a lot of fiber in a day, it's going to be maybe 100 calories if you're really eating a lot of fiber. So that's not going to be a lot of calories. It's going to make you very, very full. So fiber is found in fruits, vegetables, beans. What else? Of course, fiber products, and the whole grain version of foods. So let's say whole grain oats has more fiber than normal oats, and whole grain pasta has more fiber than regular pasta. So what that's going to do is going to slow your digestion, make you more full. So if you're going to eat, if you want to lose weight, and if you're going to eat a carb source, make sure you pick the fiber or the whole grain version of it if you can. So choose whole grain bread over normal bread. Even though it has more calories, it's gonna be more satiating and healthier. So it's gonna be the better option if you want to lose weight. So choose whole grain oats, whole grain bread, whole grain rice. Yeah, that's the first tip. Next up is going to be protein. Protein is also very satiating compared to other macronutrients. So it's even though, it's protein is obviously useful for maintaining muscle mass and or building muscle, but it's also going to be very satiating. Not as much as fiber, but it's still going to be satiating. So try to get in lots of protein if you want your to be satiated throughout the day, and especially if you're going to the gym, it's gonna be useful for building and maintaining muscle. Next up is gonna be fats, and something to notice is that fats have 9 calories per gram, carbs and protein have 4. So fats have the most calories per gram, and that also makes it the least satiating for out of all the macronutrients. So you should not be eating too much fat, because let's say you have 500 calories to spare, you could either eat 50 milliliters of olive oil, which is not going to be satiating, or you could have lots of carbs, or at least a lot more carbs. It would be like 120 grams of rice, for example. So if you have spare calories, don't waste them on eating too much fat, opposed to just eating a bit more carbs or a bit more fiber and protein. And I said too much because fats are still necessary to keep your hormones stable or high enough, because if you don't eat any fats, your hormones tank, and you're just gonna be miserable pretty much. Your energy is gonna be low, your hormones will dip. It's just not a good time. So you should still be eating some fats, maybe 0.3 to 0.5 grams of fats every day for the amount of pounds of your body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, that would be 60 to 100 grams of fat in a day. That's gonna be plenty, and make sure it's also good fat sources with nutrients, omega-3s, everything, you know. That also matters, the quality of the fats, of course. And my next tip, and this might be the best tip out there depending on your diet, is gonna be volume. This might be the biggest cheat code for making a diet easy. And with volume, I mean the literal amount of volume that food has. So, for example, olive oil has little to no volume per 100 calories. It's just going to be, let's say, around 11 grams. Whereas the same amount of calories would be, I'm not sure if this is true exactly, but would be an entire crop of lettuce, for example, or an entire cucumber, which obviously the cucumber is going to fill up your entire stomach, whereas a little bit of olive oil won't even be close to filling up your entire stomach. So eating foods with a physically high amount of volume compared to the amount of calories that's in that food is going to be very useful. So a good example for this would be rice compared to potatoes. If you look at the amount of calories versus the amount of volume, potatoes will be more voluminous and therefore make you fuller. So potatoes would be a better food for fat loss to make sure you're not super hungry compared to rice. Another few examples of this are gonna be just straight up water. It has no calories and it's gonna make you feel full. Black coffee, same exact thing with water. But also fruits, vegetables are all relatively high volume with usually not much calories. So that's also gonna make you feel full, and that's why fruits and vegetables are just really good for fat loss. As I mentioned, fiber and I mentioned volume, and fruits and vegetables have both of those usually. So that's also going to be a great tip for fat loss. You could also drink diet sodas. Again, no calories. It's going to fill you up. And you can also make lots of recipes with xanthan gum, I think it's called, which is going to make your meals have a lot of volume. So that's also a diet hack. Those are all the tips I have for today. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about next, if you have any questions on fat loss, and I'll answer them in the next video. Bye, thanks for watching.